So you're thinking about doing your first ever DEKAFIT race, but you're not prepared for the 10 stations inside the race. Well, no worries, because in today's video, I'm gonna outline exactly how to complete each one of the 10 DEKAFIT stations. And not only complete them, but absolutely crush them with insider secrets that I've learned by doing well over 20 DEKAFIT races over the past few years. So buckle your seatbelts, get ready, because on today's video, there's no guesswork, no BS, just straightforward how to crush your first DEKAFIT. Let's jump into today's video. All right, before we jump into today's video, make sure you like the button. If you're doing a DEKAFIT, comment below which DEKAFIT are you doing. And let's just start with the first thing you're gonna do in the DEKAFIT race. So if we're talking about your general DEKAFIT, which is the main bread and butter DEKAFIT race, there's a lot of running involved, specifically 500 meters of running 10 times. You start the DEKAFIT with a 500 meter, typically double lap around a venue before heading into station one. So the first thing to understand is there's gonna be running and you need to be prepared. So if you're not currently running inside of your training program, you should start to build some running into your schedule. Now, I'm not telling you to go out and prepare for a marathon, but you do need to consider that there is a decent amount of running. In fact, over half the event itself is gonna be spent on your feet running around. So running is the name of the game for DEKAFIT. When we talk about the DEKA Mile, you're only gonna be running 1 mile. So 1/10 of a mile, 10 times. If we're talking about the DEKA Strong, there is no running whatsoever. It's just the stations that we're gonna cover today. So I wanna make sure you understand that running is a big part of the DEKAFIT, should be something you're prepared for. Let's talk about the first DEKAFIT station. So DEKA station number 1 is a reverse ram lunge. Now, the ram, which I'm holding here, there's 2 variations of the ram. 55-pound ram for men, 33-pound ram for women. And as of 2024, which is when I'm filming this video, you may be watching in the future, the DEKA lunge station is gonna have 2 lines, and it's basically where you need to have your feet when you line up. So when you come into the station, there's gonna be a white line in front and a white line in back. You wanna put your feet in front of the white line, and then when you reverse lunge, your back knee is gonna stay in that station. So you'll put the ram either over your shoulders like this, or you can do a one arm, which I prefer. I think the one arm is way more efficient. I just go with my stronger side, which is my right side. And then the key for the movement pattern is to reverse lunge, touch the knee, and then you are required to stand all the way up so that your hips are straight at the top. You can no longer get away with doing these half lunges where you're basically staying in a hip hinge the entire time. The judges should enforce a full upright position and a touch of the knee on the way back. So when you practice your reverse lunge, you wanna make sure you're touching, standing all the way up here. And then finally, you will get penalized for throwing your ram to the ground after you're done. So you wanna make sure you set your ram down gently before heading back out for your next 500 meter run. All right, let's talk about station number 2, and this is the row machine. Now, you just came off of a run. You're probably starting to feel a little more tired than when you first started. One of the biggest tips I can give you about the rower is to make sure that a couple things are set as fast as possible. Number 1 is your damper setting. So the last thing you want to do is start rowing and then realize, oh crap, I don't have the right damper setting on the rower. So know going into the race where you're going to set your rower. For most people, I suggest a 6 to 7 on the damper, because that's enough resistance to get a big enough return on your pull in terms of distance covered. Stronger guys could probably get away with a 7 to 8, and if you're super elite, you can bump it up to a 9 or 10, but most of the top racers stick in that 7 to 8 range for damper. The other thing is, when you hop into the rower, I like to start pulling right away before my feet are all the way locked in. That way I get a little bit ahead of the game, and I'm not trying to get my feet perfectly tightened before I start rowing. What this does is it starts to get you out ahead of your competition who's racing alongside of you. You can, as you're pulling then, you get a couple rows and your feet aren't tight all the way yet, right? On your way up, you can squeeze one strap, keep pulling, get a couple more pulls in, get the other one, and before you know it, you might be 50 to 75 meters in while everybody else is still getting situated, still getting fully tightened into the row machine. The big thing with the rower is it's station number 2. So the last thing you want to do is blow your entire race trying to kill yourself on the row. Find a pace that feels relatively difficult, but leaves a little bit of gas in the tank, because once again, you're only 20% of the way through the race when you're done with the row machine. Big thing here with rowing is to not make it all about your arms, right? You want to make sure that this is primarily a lower body movement. You're driving through your legs all the way back, extending your quads. then just finishing with a pull, then quickly allowing your arms to straighten, coming back, keeping your chest up, and then repeating here. This allows the bigger muscle groups, which are your legs and your back, to do most of the work, with your arms being just a finisher to get through that row. So we're doing 500 meters. Everybody does 500 meters on the row. That's the distance you're gonna cover. We're off to another run if you're on the DEKAFIT or the DEKA Mile. And then we're moving into station number 3, which is the box step over. All right, so before you're done with the lunges, I just wanna let you know that there's 30 lunges total that you need to complete. So that's 15 each side. So not 30 each side, 30 total lunges before moving into your next run, and then station number 2. All right, station number 3 is box step overs, 20 box step overs. Now, this is a tough one for people who don't have a lot of mobility in their hips, right? Or a lot of strength in their lower half. Because you're stepping up, you're having to touch both feet to the box before coming down on the other side and repeating. Both feet need to touch the ground. Both feet need to touch the top of the box, then coming back. So now I like to use a method that looks like this. So I'm coming up, touching, and turning, right? So when I face the box, I'm ready for my next rep, right? So I'm here, step down. Some people like the side-to-side method, so it's here, touch both feet, come down. It's really whatever you prefer. I sometimes vary it up and I do both. The biggest thing with the box step over is getting into a rhythm. You can definitely fly through this, but you don't want to get into a situation where 30% of the way into the race, you're blowing your race. The box step over is a tricky one because you just came off of your 3rd run, you did the row machine and the lunges, both very leg-focused exercises. This is gonna hurt if you try to blow through it, so it's about getting into a rhythm. Let me show you what a good rhythm looks like for me personally, and you can mimic it as you practice this in your training. Once again, it's almost like beats to a song. You just want to get in good flow, good rhythm, and then just get it over with. Then move into your next run before we go into station 4. All right, station number 4 is weighted medicine ball sit-ups. Sometimes at DEKAFIT events, you'll have a target that you need to hit in front of you. Some of the more local DEKAFIT races that are at local gyms, you're just gonna need to do a sit-up where the ball comes between your legs. I'm gonna demonstrate both so you understand what those look like. But in terms of weight, men have to use a 20-pound ball, women have to use a 14-pound ball. And you gotta do 25 medicine ball sit-ups before moving into your next run. So let me show you what these look like. So you need to touch the medicine ball behind your head before coming up and hitting a target in front of you. Or if you're at a local DEKAFIT race, you touch the medicine ball behind your head and you touch the ball between your feet. So here, and you gotta do 25. Biggest thing I can tell you is practice these, okay? Get your midsection conditioned to be able to handle 25 setups relatively fast. This should be a station that you blow through pretty quick. You're not gonna experience a ton of fatigue here. Yeah, your abs will feel a little bit of a burn, but your legs get a little bit of a rest, and you should be able to come out feeling relatively fresh before moving into your next run. 25 setups, and then moving into station number 5. All right, so station number 5 of the DEKAFIT is the ski erg. Now, this is a machine that probably most of you, if you've never done any kind of CrossFit or any kind of hybrid training, it's probably a new machine for you. Very similar to the row, that we want to make sure our damper is set appropriately before we jump into it. I once again like a 7 or 8 on the damper. We're doing 500 meters on the ski, and it's called a ski because the motion mimics skiing. If you've ever pushed off with 2 ski poles, you know you're taking your arm straight up and you're driving into the snow and you're pushing off, right? Just like you're getting ready to go on a downhill ski. But big thing here is, once again, we want to use our hips and glutes as much as possible, almost like dropping into a squat. So I like to set my feet up so These little screws are right kind of before my toes, okay? And then I keep my feet relatively inside of shoulder width in an athletic stance, knees bent. I'm extending my arms straight up, and then I'm driving my hips back and dropping into a half squat before driving my fist down towards my knee, right? So I'm here, and then I drive down, extend my tricep, come straight up. And that's the skier. It's 500 meters. You're halfway through when you're done with the skier. So you can start to push a little bit more. Start to tap into that gas tank. If you've trained appropriately for this one, this will feel pretty good. The ski, in my opinion, is really where the race starts because you only have 5 more stations to go. You get through the ski, you got the farmer's carry next, then you have a couple of difficult stations that we'll talk about, and then you're just about there. You only have a couple more after that. So after I'm done with the ski, I'm like, okay, the race has started now. So it's just something to think about as you prepare mentally for the DEKAFIT. Station number 6 is the farmer's carry. So you have a 100-meter farmer's carry. If you're in a gym, typically there'll be a little area where we are now, where it's just back and forth, 10 times to cover 10 yards each time. If you're at one of the main regional events, usually it'll be a winding course that you walk through. 60 pounds each hand for men, 40 pounds each hand for women. The biggest tip I can give you with the farmer's carry, number 1 is try to do it unbroken. But number 2 is, if you can't do it unbroken, make sure you're breathing through the entire farmer's carry. Don't get scrunched up and hold your breath. That's gonna make it really hard to hold on to these dumbbells as you carry them through the farmer's carry. Almost breathe audibly very loud, breathing out as you go along. I'm gonna show you my pace for the farmer's carry so you can get an idea of how fast I'm running. But this is one that you're gonna wanna practice. All right, so station 7 is everybody's least favorite station. So let's just get it out of the way, and that is the AirDyne bike. 25 calories you gotta burn on this bike. We call it the devil machine because it sucks, and especially when it's the 7th station in a race like DEKAFIT. So I have a strategy. There's a lot of different strategies. I'll share mine that works great for me, and that is to go hard for a certain number of calories, easy for a certain number of calories. The trick is though, you can't stay in easy mode when you've hit the number of calories that you wanna hit. You gotta get back to hard, and that's mentally challenging for some people. So, some people prefer just a steady pace all the way through, but this is where people really lose a lot of time in the race because this machine sucks. So my strategy is 10 calories hard, 5 calories easy, 10 calories hard, 5 calories easy. Now, there are sometimes I go into this station and go, I feel great, and I'm gonna just go as long as I can, hard as I can, and then I'll cruise at the end. Or I'll start off easy and pick up the pace as I go along. But I like that hard, easy strategy because it gives you just enough recharge to get through this brutal station. So you're gonna get on the bike, make sure your seat is adjusted appropriately, know your setting ahead of time. I'm a 6 or a 7 on most bikes. You want to, once again, remain tall so your breathing stays, your airway stays open. And we're here and we're pumping. Once we get to our calorie target, we might want to pull back. Just don't stop, keep going, and then push again so you get to 25 calories. Now, the real trick is to get right back into your run. Or if you're in DEKA Strong, get right to the next station, which is wall overs with a ball, medicine ball. So we'll talk about that station next, but the trick is mentally, just get into whatever's next. Don't think too much, don't rest. Don't sit here and breathe for 20, 30 seconds and then go, oh, all right, I'm gonna start. Get right into it. You can catch your breath as you run or when you get into the next station. Station 8 is dead ball overs. Now, Once again, there's gonna be two ways of doing this. If you go to a regional event, you'll have a wall of some kind. Typically, it looks something like a barbell holding machine. It's kind of hard to explain, but it's something you'll pick a ball up off the ground and you'll dump it over. So for example, let's come over here. You might pick a ball up, toss it over, come around to the other side, toss it over. And when you're tired, this gets pretty draining. You have a 60-pound ball if you're a male, 40-pound ball if you're a female. Now, if you're at a local event, at a gym, you'll do it over the shoulder, and especially if you do the DEKA Strong, even at the main events, you'll do over the shoulder, and I'll demonstrate what that looks like. So, you have a ball, you're gonna drop it over your shoulder, step back with one foot, pick it up, step forward, drop it over your shoulder. So you gotta do 20 of these, whether it's over the wall or over your shoulder. 60-pound ball for men, 40-pound ball for women. The biggest thing with this one, just get it done, man. You only got 2 more stations after this. Do your wall overs, head out for your run, or in the strong, just get into your next station, which is the sled. Station number 9 is the tank push and pull. So you have 100 yards that you gotta push and pull. So 50 push, 50 pull. The tank itself is gonna have a setting. The hardest setting is for men, then I think they knock it down a notch for women. Either way, just follow instructions wherever you are, pointing you to the right tank for you. Biggest thing here is, once again, just keep the tank moving. So we're gonna start with a push, where we're pushing down to one side, then we're gonna pull straps that are attached to the tank back. Now, there's a couple of methods to this if you wanna try it. So number one, typically there's 2 handles. You can do the method where you're dropping into a squat, pulling it up before stepping back and continuing on. Or, like some people like to do, you can keep your arms extended and just walk it back. It really comes down to whatever your preference is. I'll mix it up typically. And then for me, it's just one foot in front of the other, maintaining my breathing and pushing it back. You have 100 meters and then you're moving into the last station, which is the ram burpee. But the sled should be one that you're selling out on, because you don't need to leave anything in the tank. You're there. You just got one more run or one more station and then you're done. So that is station number 9, the tank push pull. Let's finish off the DEKAFIT with our very favorite burpees. All right, last station. You have 20 burpees with the ram. 44 pounds for men, 22 pounds for women. So there's just a couple of movement standards that you gotta hit. Number one, the ram has to come all the way overhead. So you're gonna come down, you're gonna touch your chest to the ram, come all the way up. Ram has to clear your head. That's 1 rep. Gotta do 20. So you're here, drop down, boom, okay? 20 reps, run across the finish line. So there's really not much to be said about burpees besides they're gonna suck and it's the last station. Just get it done. Biggest thing I can tell you about DEKAFIT, if you wanna be successful, besides what I said in the beginning about practicing your running, practice all the stations. Get comfortable. Get comfortable doing them when you're tired. You had a tough workout, knock out some burpees at the end, or have a really structured training program in place that helps you peak for a DEKAFIT, where leading into the race, you're fully conditioned on all fronts, from the muscle that needs to be conditioned to your running, to your mindset, because the mindset is the biggest one. Your brain is gonna tell you to quit well before your body actually needs to quit. You're gonna wanna quit because it's gonna hurt, it's gonna burn, it's gonna suck. You're gonna feel like it's a little harder than you anticipated, and adrenaline's gonna be pumping. Don't listen, just keep going. I promise you, when you cross the finish line, you'll go, I had a little more in the tank. I could have kept going. And it's a good feeling to cross. So push through, enjoy yourself, have fun. And remember, you can always PR the next time out. And every single time is an opportunity to get better. So that's how you do the DEKAFIT. Like this video if this one helped. And let me know in the comments, what DEKAFITs are you doing this year? Are you doing the DEKAFIT, DEKA Mile, DEKA Strong, and where are you doing them? Would love to catch up with you at a future race. Until then, life moves fast. Go make it count. Talk to you in the next one. Peace.